When I inherited my grandparents' $900,000 estate, I quietly moved it into
including a fraudulent title transfer, are not just invalid, but criminally prosecutable. Tyler's face drained a full shade of color. Fraudulent, he muttered, looking to Mom. What is he talking about? Mom stepped forward, lips tight. There must be some mistake. We had a lawyer look at the old deed. It was still in Grandpa's name. We assumed. You assumed wrong, I said, finally breaking my silence. I never left the property in my name directly. It's owned by a trust. That's why you couldn't find any record in the public logs. You went to some shady title mill and tried to fake a transfer based on an outdated document. Mr. Levin nodded. I've already filed a fraud report on the attempted title claim. Normally, we'd send a warning first, but given the circumstances, bringing movers, threatening occupancy, trying to evict the legal trustee, we're skipping straight to enforcement. Tyler blinked. Enforcement? I turned slightly toward him and spoke more plainly. It means if you set one foot in this house without my permission again, you're trespassing. And if you try to tamper with the trust or any of its assets, you're looking at charges. Multiple. For a long, awkward second, no one said a word. The movers were standing halfway between their truck and the porch, looking at each other like they'd walked into a domestic minefield. One of them coughed and slowly started backing away toward the van. Tyler finally found his voice. You're seriously doing this? To family. My voice was calm, too calm. Family? You showed up here with a forged title and a moving crew. You tried to steal my home, the one thing Grandpa and Grandma wanted me to have. Don't talk to me about family. Mom's jaw clenched. They were confused, Aiden. They didn't understand. No, I said sharply, cutting her off. You didn't understand. You thought I'd be the same pushover I was at 20. The kid you could guilt into giving up his weekend to babysit Tyler's drama, or float alone because you needed it just this once. But I'm not that kid anymore. I learned. I listened. And I prepared. Mr. Levin added, flipping through the folder. Also, just so it's clear, we've alerted the local precinct. If either of you attempt to return under the guise of any property claim, there will be a file ready to go. Civil and criminal. Tyler's eyes flashed, but he said nothing. He turned to the movers and snapped. We're leaving. Now. He didn't look at me again. Mom lingered for half a second, her mouth slightly open like she wanted to say something. Maybe one last manipulation attempt, but nothing came out. She followed him without another word. The truck pulled out of the driveway, and I watched the taillights disappear down the hill. It was quiet again. That heavy kind of quiet that falls after a confrontation that's been building for years. Mr. Levin handed me a copy of the filed report and said, call if they come back. I thanked him, and after he left, I just stood there for a while, on the same porch where I used to sit with Grandpa and listen to him talk about knowing your people. Not just their words, but their patterns, their habits. He used to say, don't judge people by what they say in a moment. Judge them by what they do when they think you're not watching. He was right. I had watched, and I'd finally acted. But that wasn't the end, because 3 days later, I received a letter, one typed, formal, and signed, from a different lawyer, one hired by my mother. In it, she claimed emotional distress and argued that, as a direct descendant, she had a moral and familial right to a portion of the estate. She demanded compensation for the